Alright guys, what is going on? I want to start talking more about Kirby Air Riders because recently I have noticed that there are a ton of people out there in the online world who seem to be under the impression that the game has not really sold that well, or it's no longer selling that well. It's not performing that well in sales and whatnot. But you know, a lot of the reasons these people have for thinking that is, I would say, just flawed reasoning, and it's just this misconception that because they probably played the game a few times, they played, they tried going online and playing City Trial and couldn't find that many people playing, and they were matched with a bunch of bots. That suddenly means the game didn't sell well. Not a lot of people are playing the game, but the problem with coming to that conclusion is that you're not taking into consideration that there are so many different modes besides City Trial. For one, City Trial is not the only online multiplayer mode, and two, there's offline modes for all of these different modes. You could play every single game in Kirby Air Riders offline. You can play City Trial offline, you could play Air Ride offline, you could play the Top Ride mode offline as well. And those are modes that offer online and offline. So how many people are playing, Top Ride? How many people are playing Air Ride? And how many people are playing City Trial? And how many people are playing any one of those offline instead of online? Because, there's a lot of people out there who probably, don't care about, ranked matches. They just want to have fun. They don't give a damn about getting ranked and breaking up or whatever, and so they'll just play these modes offline because they just want to have fun, and they don't really care so much about leveling up, or they don't care about their ranking or whatever within the game. Then there is also Road Trip, and here's the thing: a lot of people will argue that Road Trip is actually way more fun than City Trial. City Trial is very fun, it's chaotic, it's awesome. But guess what? Road Trip is actually more fun because it actually includes a lot of City Trial in it. So it's got all these different modes, right, that you can play in as you're going on this long adventure, and you can choose all of these multiple different games. And there's a lot of City Trial games that are included in it. So, for example, not only could you choose to play a Top Ride mode or an Air Ride mode, you could choose to play like a Dust Up Derby, Melee mode. You could choose to play a mode where you're taking down a bunch of attacks, and which are these like bandits. They're like these cats that are bandits, and they steal things, and you have to like destroy them. And usually they're in the City Trial mode or whatever. You can play. You can fight against these lower level bosses, these low tier bosses like Krakow, the Thunderous Cloud, the Mysterious Bird. I forget the name of the bird, but it's like some mysterious bird or whatever, Dynabird, I think. And that's in the City Trial itself as well. So, in a way, you can enjoy a lot of what is in the City Trial, or what City Trial has to offer, in the Road Trip mode. So the Road Trip mode, is arguably way more fun than City Trial. City Trial is awesome, it's really fun, but Road Trip mode, it's just endless fun, going from game to game to game to game. It's like just nonstop action coming at you. So how many people who bought this game are more occupied with just the Road Trip mode itself, right? Versus the City Trial. Because you know what? Those are the two big main events in this game. City Trial and Road Trip are the two big main events. Before it used to just be City Trial, but Road Trip is also a main event in and of itself. So how many people are playing that versus City Trial, right? So all of these things you guys have to take into consideration, okay? How many people are playing offline? How many people are playing, Air Ride or Top Ride instead of City Trial? How many people are just playing Road Trip, because that mode is arguably more fun than City Trial? You have to take all of these things into consideration, okay? All of it. So there's that. And another reason people think there's not that many players out there is because when you look at the global ranking system or whatever, the way it works is, the better you get at the game, the higher your number is in the global power system, or global, whatever, the fucking leaderboards or whatever. Basically, let's just say you are the best at this video game. You're not going to be ranked number one. Instead, it's going to be like, you're just going to have the highest number or something. So you'll probably be ranked like 500,000 or 1 million, something like that, It's the opposite of being like ranked first place. Now, I still don't know everything there is to know about this, right? Like, is that how it really works? Or is it just the better you get at it, the higher your number goes up? And it's not really like in any specific order. You're not, like, could multiple people have the same number? Could multiple players have number 475,000? You know what I mean? I still don't know too much about that, but the highest numbers I have seen were like in like 400,000 or so. I have seen a bunch of people who are ranked 0. They don't have any numbers. I've been seeing a lot of people like that lately. So there's a lot of new people playing the game, or they're just playing online for the first time. Maybe they had the game, but they're now just starting to play online. That could be a possibility too. So again, this is another thing that a lot of people are looking at and thinking, oh, this kind of tells me not a lot of people have the game. Again, if you got 400,000 people playing online, right, and they're playing the ranked matches, that doesn't mean that those are the only people who bought the game. There's probably millions of people out there who are just choosing to play the game offline, or they're playing, road trip, whatever. You don't know, because it has so many options. How many multiplayer games out there have this many options when it comes to, what you want to play, right? There's not a lot of multiplayer live service games that give you this many options. There's a lot of live service games, you can't even freaking play them unless you have internet access. The best example for me would be For Honor, made by Ubisoft. That freaking game pisses me off because I can't even play the damn story mode unless my Wi-Fi is good, which usually it is, but there have been times where the Wi-Fi wasn't that good, or the Wi-Fi was out, or the internet was out, and I couldn't even freaking play the damn game, and that pisses me off. And there's a lot of live service games out there, but here we got Kirby Air Riders, which is you could play the damn game whether you have internet or not, because it has so much offline play. You can play every single mode offline. You can play the road trip mode. So again, you can't just look at that, like look at the players, say, oh, I'm only seeing people who have reached, who are 400,000, number 400,000 in the leaderboards, and therefore that's the amount of people who've bought the game and are playing it. Like, no, that's wrong. It's wrong to assume that. It's wrong to assume that. So how many big live service games are out there? Like, just straight up multiplayer games, right? And that's all it is, just multiplayer games. It doesn't have a story mode, doesn't have offline play. It's only online play, and yet it's like they sold maybe 50 million, right? 50 million copies were sold, and they have like 200,000 people on average playing the game. So if you have, if you have games out there that don't even offer offline, doesn't offer any single player modes whatsoever, it's only online, they sold 50 million plus copies, and yet they only have about 200,000 people a month playing it. Why would you assume that a game like Kirby Air Riders, which actually offers offline play as well, so much so that, half the people who got it are probably playing that versus playing online? Why would you assume that just because there's only about 400,000 or so people playing on City Trial, that means that that's the only amount of people that purchase the game, or the game's not selling that well? We have so many examples of big multiplayer games, successful multiplayer games that sold very well, and yet only a fraction of the people who bought that game are actually playing it online, or who are actually playing it, period. There's so many games out there in the world. I mean, people, especially on Nintendo, there's not everybody who owns a Nintendo Switch 2 are going to be playing Kirby Air Riders, or going to be playing, City Trial on Kirby Air Riders. So, this is the weird assumption that people are just making with this game, thinking it didn't sell too well, because I'm not seeing a lot of players here. It's like, well, I mean, look at all these other successful games that sold very well, and yet only a fraction of the people who bought that game are actually playing it, and they're games that only offer online multiplayer. So you can't really just assume that because you're only seeing a few 100,000 people play Kirby Air Riders, that means it didn't sell well. I'm willing to bet that this game has sold at least more than 5 million so far. And yeah, I'm being pretty optimistic about it, but I think it has sold 5 million, maybe 7 million. If I'm wrong, well, that sucks, and it just shows that gamers are stupid and don't know what the hell fun really is. So, but I do think that the game is selling well. Unfortunately, we don't get to see how well it's doing digitally. We could only see the physical sales, but Nintendo has shown, or has stated that the game was selling very well digitally. It was one of the best selling games digitally for a while. It's still up there, I believe, when it comes to digital sales. It was ranked number one in the eShop, I remember, and I think that was worldwide as well, not just for the US. And just recently, the Japan, like Famitsu, revealed that Kirby Air Riders was the number one best-selling digital game in all of Japan, and that was recently. As a matter of fact, I don't know if that was for the entire year of 2025. It may have been, but that's pretty huge if that was for the entire year of 2025, considering the fact that the game came out in November. So if the game came out in November of 2025, meaning it only had about a month or so, and yet it ended up being the highest selling digital game in all of Japan, that's a pretty big deal. That's a very big deal. And we know so far it's sold close to 500,000 in physical copies alone in Japan. So it's like, damn, how much did it sell just digitally? I mean, did many people just decide, hey, we're going to get this game digitally? It's a perfect game for it. It's only 25 gigabytes of storage. So yeah, let's just buy the game digitally. I mean, again, we never really see the digital sales or whatever, but it's possible it sold like maybe 2 million digitally in just Japan alone. Probably even more than that, who knows? But yeah, I do think this game is selling well. There's a lot of big YouTubers, not big YouTubers, but there's people out there who are centered around Kirby, around that IP, who think that the game may or may have not, sold well. But this is just my take, my theory on the whole thing. I think it did sell well, and I think what the reasons people have for thinking that it didn't sell well are not really good reasons. I think it's, I don't know what you're expecting to see. You're expecting to see lobbies just fill up instantly in city trials. Again, it's not really going to be that way. For one, you have to consider that the Switch 2 just came out. Nintendo Switch 2, still a new console, and I do think they've sold at least 15 or 20 million consoles so far. But even still, that's not enough for this game to be selling. I don't think this game has like a 90% attachment rate. Might have a 70% attachment rate. Hopefully it does. But yeah, just you're making too many assumptions about this. If what you're looking at isn't enough to indicate whether the game is selling very well or not. I think it is selling well. I think the game's doing great, and I really hope that it gets bundled. I mean, with the console, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Kirby Air Riders, both of those are the two best games on the console so far, the two most fun games that I think really showcase, the awesomeness of the console, and Nintendo really should look into bundling both of those games. And I don't see why they haven't yet. I think they definitely need to do that. I mean, Mario Kart World, I think they're done bundling that game. Hopefully they are for a while. We don't need them to keep bundling that game. That game's going to sell well regardless. Pokemon Legends ZA, that's another game it's sold very well already. A lot of people are buying it. They don't need to bundle that game. They should definitely bundle Donkey Kong Bonanza and Kirby Air Riders. I think those are the two games, because those are the two most fun games, and so they should really just be like, hey, we're bundling these games so people can discover them and see how freaking awesome and fun they really are. That would be awesome. If they do that, I would definitely buy. I would buy a Donkey Kong version and a Kirby Air Riders version, because I think I want to have another Switch 2 console in my home. That would be perfect for when people come over or whatever, and we can play multiplayer there. And I'll probably get another one maybe for a relative of mine and whatnot. But anyways, yeah, I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about Kirby Air Riders? Do you think the game's selling well? Do you think it's not selling well? Do you think that, you know, what I said here might have changed your mind if you think the game is not selling well? Do you think the arguments that I made here were enough to convince you that it could actually be selling well, which I think it could? If you're a hater of this channel, anything you say will not really be taken seriously, but go ahead and say it anyways, because you guys can't help yourself, and it's good for my channel anyways. So with that being said, all of you guys take care, and I will talk to you all later.